Do you want to know the best defenders coming into Year 7 Season 3 of Rainbow Six Siege? Well, you've come to the right video. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you all of the defenders ranked in a tier list of who I think is very good and ranked. If you want to know where Grim is placed in my attacker tier list, I made that last Wednesday, which I'll link in the top right here. But with that out of the way, let's get straight into the video. Now, before I get into the tier list, I just want to say if you disagree with anything that I have to say, comment down below and let me know why. I also make operator guides for all of the operators that you'll see on this tier list, so make sure you check those out. And without out of the way, let's begin the tier list. First of all, I want to go over Bandit. So Bandit, I have a very strong opinion about. I think with the EMP grenades, you're going to start seeing a lot more Bandit players than you are arcade players. The reason for this is because Bandit tricking is going to be the only counter to the EMP grenade meta. And Bandit tricking is extremely easy to do after they made Bandit tricking extremely easy to do with his buff. And the way you do this is you put 2 Bandit charges on the outside of the walls, you sit in the middle, and you sit and you just put Bandit charges on the wall that they're thermiting after they've EMP grenaded the wall. Very, very easy to do, with his weapon also being an MP7, very good for solo queue potential, and the suppressor also being very good now without reducing recoil or damage. I think putting the suppressor on his MP7 is going to make a deadly combo for Bandit, and I think is going to be played a lot more than usual. My next operator I'll talk about is Smoke. Smoke is S tier. He's always been S tier. They haven't changed him, and he will stay in S tier. Smoke brings sight setup with a shotgun, very versatile there. The best plant denial, rush denial in the entire game. The SMG-11 is a complete monster, and now they've only buffed the SMG-11, making the recoil even easier to control. Now people are running angled grip suppressor on the SMG-11. Very good, easy to pick up. One of the best defenders in the game, and he is probably at the top of S tier in terms of defenders. My next operator is Castle. Now, Castle is one of those operators that if you don't know how to play him, you are nothing but a hindrance to your team. So that would make me put him in a situational category, but this tier list doesn't have that, so I'm going to put him in A tier. I think he's very, very good now that he has the super shorty, he has prox alarms or a bulletproof camera, a 1.5 on his UMP, and 4 Castle barricades. If you know how to play Castle, he's A tier. If you don't, he's probably C tier. With that being said, I have a Castle guide that I'll put in the top right here if you want to learn how to play Castle so that you can get him to A tier, but very good for site setups, very good for coordinated teams, and overall very good for stopping an attacker rush, and I think he is definitely one of the more underrated operators, at least in the lower level of Rainbow Six Siege. My next operator is Azami. I think Azami is definitely S tier. Azami is one of those operators that is just really good, especially the more you know how to play her. I have so many Azami lineups that I've made on YouTube Shorts that you should go check out, but very, very good. It's essentially just having 5 deployable shields that you can throw anywhere. Also, it's very good for playing rafters and CC. There's so much versatility. That's an entire video on itself I don't even want to get myself started on. But also, very good gun. She brings impacts or barbed wire. She brings a deagle for head holes, feet holes, etc. So Azami, just really, really, really good. All right, so my next operator is Thunderbird. I think Thunderbird on console is definitely S tier. I think that's unquestionable, but on PC is probably B tier because most of the time people have good enough aim to just click your head, so heals don't do much. And even if they do much, you have to go out of your position to get the heals and then come back, and even then the Thunderbird stations are just shootable, twitchable, EMPable, and overall extremely counterable. So there's always going to be a better operator that brings more utility, especially if you want to be a fragger. So I don't think Thunderbird is all that. Especially on PC, she's just kind of okay. Lesion, I want to put in A tier. Lesion is a very slept on operator. I just actually made a Lesion guide for Astralis, but very, very good sound cues. Probably the easiest to control SMG in the entire game. I think they actually did just nerf every single SMG, LMG, and AR in the game though, so maybe not anymore. But all of the one-time sights, very good for stopping rushes, very good for stopping side executes. Overall, very easy to pick up as well, and that's pretty much it. He's just super easy, very versatile, and just A tier. Alibi, I'm going to put in A tier, and the reason that I'm doing this is because her ability is okay, right? It's not a great ability, especially for information. You can bring someone like Valkyrie, but Alibi has so much versatility, it's ridiculous. She has the gun for if you want to be very aggressive and roam with her and use her clones to your advantage. She also has a deployable shield, very, very good, and a bailiff for that side setup that Smoke brings, which gives her that versatility. So I think Alibi is extremely versatile, and I think she's also very good for fraggers, but she also brings the utility to back it up, making her a very well-rounded operator, and she's definitely very good for ranked. Thorn, I'm going to put in B tier. Now, you may be wondering why I put Thorn and Alibi in the same tier last season, and I did that because of the deployable shield, the good guns, and the ability, right? But I do want to say Thorn's ability is not as good as Alibi's, and neither is her versatility. The versatility that Alibi brings is very good because of her bailiff, but she does have a 50 cal SMG, but she can't make rotates, she can't make feet holes and head holes extremely quickly like Alibi can for sight setup, and her ability is kind of mid if we're being honest, and you need other gadgets to complement her ability for it to be useful. So not really that bad, especially for solo queuing. She's probably A tier, but generally for ranked, I think she's just B tier. Mute, I'm going to put at the top of A tier. No, that's not fucking true. It's not true. I'm a Mute meat rider. So honestly, I think he's S tier. I'm a Mute meat rider. I always have been. If you want the versatility that Smoke brings on Mute, you can always just run the shotgun SMG11 combo, and that the SMG11 has actually been buffed, there's honestly no reason to run the MP5K, especially now that its loss is 1.5. But he still has 4 mute jammers, bro. 4 mute jammers. Maybe with EMP grenades, there's something to be said about him being not as useful as he was before, but for roaming, he's extremely useful. You put a mute jammer on your roamers. For wall denial, he's okay, right? For just generally slowing down the push because they can't drone, he's very, very good. So mute, honestly, I still think he's S tier. Maybe the bottom of S tier, but I'm a mute meat rider, and I always have been, and I always fucking will be unless they nerf him. So S tier for him. Next, I want to talk about Aruni. I think Aruni is probably S tier as well. Aruni is a little slept on in the rank scene, but you can bring her every single site, and she always brings utility, especially if you know how to play her and you know how to reactivate her gates. Very good. Weapon selection, S tier. She has the ability to make an infinite amount of rotates, head holes, feet holes, openings of any wall that she wants to. Overall, very versatile and very good in the hands of somebody that knows how to use her weapons, and extremely good for wasting time, wasting utility, slowing down rushes. Very good operator overall, and I think you need to start playing Aruni a lot more than you're playing any of the operators that I'm putting in the A or B tier. Jager, I'm going to put in S tier, especially for this season with the EMP grenades being a thing. Jager is going to be amazing. I think Jager's going to be great. Now, Jager can't really counter EMP grenades if they're on the other side of a wall, but if they're getting a wall in a room that's already inside the building, you can kind of play around the Jager ADSs in that way, and they're also just very good for countering general grenades and certain attacker utility. So Jager, I think, definite S tier for me. My next operator I'm going to talk about is Clash. Clash is D tier. She's one of those operators that's just annoying, not very good. Lower elo, she's probably really good, but it's so easy to deal with, and she doesn't really have a gun that I don't like. She's just not good. I don't even need to say anything. Clash is just bad. I don't really need to explain myself there. Next is Rook. Rook is C tier. So the reason I put Rook in C tier, yes, he is able to allow self-revive now, but I don't think that it's gonna matter. I really don't think it's gonna matter. Self-revive on attack is so much better than self-revive on defense, because self-revive on defense is hard to come by, because if an attacker is looking into the building and shooting you, you're not really gonna have the option to self-revive yourself, right? But on attack, if a defender's shooting you, a lot of times it might be spawn peeks, it might be runouts, it might be they're shooting you on your next to a wall, right? Because of the way that attackers peek into angles. It's just a really hard concept for me to explain, but you're able to utilize self-revive on attack a lot safer than you are on defense. So that in itself is not going to matter too much. And if you're doing it for the healing aspect and the extra health, you can play Doc and Thunderbird and do his job a lot better. Now, he does bring the 2x, which is very good for spawn peeking and holding long angles, but he's just not that good, if we're being honest. And then I'm going to put Doc in the C tier for the exact same reason. If you want heals, you can bring Thunderbird and do his job a lot better. If you like the gun, you can bring Thunderbird again. Spear, very good gun, and just not as versatile. You don't really need to bring a Doc. If you want the heals again, just do Thunderbird, and you can frag out on Thunderbird just like you can Doc. So like I said, Doc, C tier. So my next operator is Cade. Now, a lot of you are going to disagree with my pick on Cade because you're not used to seeing him this low on a tier list, but with EMP grenades in full effect and people not going to be banning Thatcher because of this, I think he's B tier, and I think he's worse than Bandit, because at least with Bandit you can Bandit trick and you can work around the EMP grenades. That with Cade, there's nothing you can do against EMP grenades, and they give almost everybody that's a flex operator an EMP grenade now, so it's really useless to play Cade now. You can put Cades below walls, right? You can do like below floor Cades, you can put them on hatches, but still EMP grenades can counter those as well. The EMP grenade, however, does not have a large radius, so if you do the strat where you split the 2 Cades off on the same wall, and you put one on the very right side of the wall and one on the very left side of the wall, I think they'll actually have a very tough time getting the Cades, but that also makes it to where you can only put 2 Cades on one wall, instead of being able to do multiple kids on different walls, right? So again, not very good. And honestly, it would just be a better use of utility, letting them get the wall and picking an operator that would bring something else to the table. So Cade, for me right now, is B tier, and we'll see where the meta takes us. We're still in the first few days of this new season, so I could be wrong, could be right. Let me know in the comments what you think, and let's get on to the next operator. Valkyrie, S tier. Valkyrie has such a good ability. 3 almost invisible cameras that have such a wide variety of where you can throw them, especially on bigger maps. She's very, very good. The MPX is amazing. She also brings a nitro cell that you can set nitro traps with her Valkyrie cameras, so very versatile and honestly just going to be very, very good unless they take one of her cameras away or they don't give her a nitro anymore. So very good, always is going to be very good, and that's why I'm putting her in the S tier for now. My next operator is going to be Kapkan. Now Kapkan's a bit tricky because it's one of those things where it's like the higher skill ceiling and the higher rank you are, the better he's going to be, because people aren't looking for your Kapkan traps, but also people are droning more for your Kapkan traps. So it's like, I don't really know where to put him, but I think I'm going to put him in A tier. 4 ranked, he's very good. There's a lot of places that you can put his Kapkan traps, and if you know where to put them based off of where the attackers are going to be looking, and you're playing around them so they don't have time to look for your Kapkan traps and you're not getting droned out, right? Kapkan is so, so good, and it just adds that extra level of fear that attackers have to face whenever they're pushing the objective. I know that's kind of an unpopular opinion putting him that high, but I genuinely think that Kapkan is a very, very good operator. Wamai is S tier for the same reason that Jager is S tier. He's almost a must pick because of the meta that we're currently in right now. You're always going to need grenade denial, Gaunt 6 denial, gadget denial, and Wamai is just a more versatile version of Jager with maybe a little bit worse of a loadout, right? So Wamai, definite S tier. I don't feel like I need to explain myself on that one. He's just very versatile and very good. Cav, I want to put in D tier. She's not good. Her weapon selection's dog ass. If you want to bring a roamer that's very hidden, you can bring Vigil. If you want to bring any roamers or fraggers in general, you can bring Alibi, Lesion, Kapkan, Jager. Like, there's always better options. Stop picking Cav. She's not good. I don't care what you say. If you want to counter Jackal and roam, bring Mute. It doesn't matter. Stop picking Cav. She's terrible. Melusi, I'm going to put in B tier. She's not the monster that she once was, and her gadget is extremely counterable. She essentially does what proximities do, but she has a wider range and they can only be shot once you're inside the radius. So she's okay. She brings a good gun selection as well with impacts. So I might put her in A tier. She's pretty good, especially if you counter with other defender utility. She's actually really, really good. So I'll put her in A tier for now. She's Melusi. Frost, I want to put in A tier. I think Frost is actually very, very good, especially in the higher elo. The mid elo is when people look for her traps the most. The lower elo, people don't look for her traps a lot. But again, deployable shield, okay gun, right? She has a shotgun on defense, which just means sight versatility, and then 3 frost traps that they constantly have to look for. Now, if you know how to play Frost and you know where to put her traps, not below windows, not on doorways, right? Not what you'd think, then you can actually get a lot of versatility and kills with Frost mats. So I think she's very good in that sense, very versatile, and I think she's definitely an A tier pick for defense. So Mozzie, I want to put in A tier. Mozzie is overall just a very good roamer. He provides cameras if you want to use him that way. He has a very good gun selection, like scary good gun selection, and overall very versatile, very good for roaming, and easy to pick up in general. So Mozzie, really good, really versatile, very easy to pick up, and that's why I'm putting him in A tier. Now Ella, I'm going to actually put in A tier. I put her a little lower in my last tier list because I have a very strong opinion that Ella isn't actually that good, but I think she's actually still pretty good. The reason for me saying this is they actually buffed her this season. They made her recoil on her SMG a little better. And I think that's actually just a console change. I'm not sure, you can look the patch notes for yourself, but they actually made her SMG a little easier to control. You can actually have plant denial with Ella. You can pocket one of these. You can roam with one of these. Her gun selection in general is very good. She brings a deployable shield. So like I said, the versatility that brings and the team play that brings. So A tier is definitely where Ella belongs. Now, I'm going to put Echo in A tier for the same reason I put Ella in A tier. Echo's a very slept on pick. Oh, you can see his cameras now, so he's not very good. You need to learn how to adapt. Essentially, you can put echo cams in very hidden spots and pop them out when they're needed, or you can put them in places where they're so far away but still cover such a great angle that they can't hear the echo cam in the first place. Also, the plant denial, also swinging off of your echo drones, the MP5 that's silenced with the 1.5, the deployable shield that he brings, very versatile and a very good operator that I think if you correctly knew how to play, you could actually get a lot of value out of. I think he's probably the hardest defender to learn how to play correctly, and with that being said, I think he's an A tier pick. My next operator is Pulse. Pulse is extremely slept on. I want to put him in A tier. Pulse, you can get so much information. You have an unlimited amount of information on where attackers can go. You have a nitro cell, and if you're calling out to your team, you can tell your team where all of the attackers are pushing from an unlimited amount of times. I don't think you realize how broken that is. You don't even need to be thinking about playing him vertically. You have an uncounterable way to tell where every single attacker is on the map, and I think that's extremely powerful. His gun selection may be not that good, but he's definitely still an A tier pick for me. My next operator is Mira. Now, I think it's very obvious that she could probably be S tier, but there are a lot of sites where you can't bring her, and actually if you do bring her, her Miras are easily destroyable and get in the way more often than they help, because normally you'd want just a solid reinforcement there. So for that reason, I'm going to put Mira in the A tier. She has that site setup shotgun, she has that information gathering Mira that you could play off of, and is overall very good, especially with her weapon selection. So Mira is always going to be A tier. In my last tier list, I put her in the situational category, but we don't have one of these this tier list, so I'm just going to stick her in A. And the same reason that I'm putting Mira in the A tier, I'm actually going to put Warden in the A tier. So Warden, deployable shield, 1.5 MPX, very good, especially now that the silencer is going to be a thing. You can play Warden in a variety of ways. He has the ability to counter any rush plants that have blinds, smokes, or concussed effects, and is overall just a pretty good operator. He's one of those operators where if you know they're going to be pushing, if they're using a lot of sends, you can bring, but if you do bring him, no one's really going to complain, because again, he brings a deployable shield, right? If you do die, it kind of sucks, and if you're roaming, it also kind of sucks. Don't roam with Warden, lol. But, you know, he's pretty good with the deployable shield. I think the reason I'm putting a lot of these operators that I shouldn't be putting in A tier, that I am putting in A tier, is because of the deployable shield, and I don't think y'all realize how good a deployable shield is, especially with someone like Warden who can play behind it with a 1.5. He's very, very good. So I don't think you should bring Warden every round, as opposed to somebody like Bandit, as opposed to somebody like Lesion, Castle, Kapkan, or Mira, but I think he's still very good. Tachanka, I want to put in B tier. Tachanka is one of those operators that's very good on paper, but very bad in practice, just because of how hard he is to use, and even if you are setting people on fire, all they have to do is run out of the fire, and it doesn't do much damage at all. Now, late round, he's not even good, because people just run through the fire. If there's 5 seconds left, they're not going to be stopped by the fire like they would be early round. But one thing that is cool about Tachanka is if you know lineups for him, he can be very good, and he's also the only counter in the game to Maverick. If Maverick is getting the bottom of the wall, which now he has to do, unless he's Maverick tricking, because you can't throw grenades through the hole due to him not having grenades, you can shoot the Shumika launchers through the holes of the Maverick, and he just can't Maverick trick anymore, or he can't get the holes with Maverick, because now the floor that he's standing on is on fire. So very good in that sense. If he does upside down repel on the wall, he can't do that, but there are a lot of walls that he can't repel on. So for that, Tachanka is very good, but if you want to do his job, you can do his job better with smoke, as you can also throw smokes through the holes and do the exact same thing. Smoke is always going to out-trump Tachanka, especially because of the shotgun doing what his LMG does, but also having a very good loadout. In that sense, Tachanka is just never going to be very good. My next operator is Oryx. Now, Oryx is, at least for ranked purposes, I want to give him B tier. He's okay. He's cool with rotating and being a good fragger in that sense with his dash, and very good for site setup with his bailiff, also getting hatches for himself, but he's very selfish, and I think for that reason I'm putting him in B tier. He does have a 1.5 T5 SMG, which kind of makes me want to put him higher, but I don't think he's really that good. Now I'm going to talk about Vigil. So Vigil gives you the ability to not be droned and waste a lot of time on the roam, and also apply ghost pressure, but he has very good weapons, and now with the silencer being in effect, he's a force to be reckoned with. So I want to put him in A tier. He's probably one of the best roamers in the game, but he doesn't provide a lot of utility. He's very selfish in that sense, so that's why I'm putting him in A tier. Now we're on to the final two, and my next operator is going to be Maestro. Now Maestro, I think, is probably S tier. I think people don't realize how good Maestro is just because they don't play him, and he's kind of boring to play, but his LMG is amazing. They did kind of nerf its recoil with this new season because they nerfed every single LMG, but he only has the one-time scopes on it anyways, so not really that big of a deal. 80 rounds on the LMG. He also has bulletproof cameras that can zap people, deny plant, and is also able to see through smokes, so very versatile in that sense. He also brings a bailiff, very versatile in that sense. Impact grenades or barbed wire, he's very, very good, and if you bring him on defense, you'll start noticing you'll win a lot more rounds and apply a lot more pressure than you would without a Maestro. My last one is Goyo. I think Goyo is probably B tier. He is one of those operators that's meant for entry denial, but you can do what he does with smoke, but better. Now, Goyo is very good in the late round, as his Goyo canisters last a long amount of time. You can play off of these Goyo canisters, and it be a force to be reckoned with. But the thing is, he's easily counterable, and he's kind of awkward to play around, as you have to activate them and pre-place them in places instead of being able to throw them like you are with Tachanka or smoke. Also, he doesn't have the versatility to back up playing Goyo, so I don't think playing Goyo is ever going to be worth it compared to somebody like smoke. And with all that out the way, that's pretty much it for all of the defenders. Looking at this, I do want to make some changes though. I do want to put Warden in B tier. I think compared to people like Castle, Bandit, or Mira, he's just not as good. And with that being said, I also want to put Melusi in A tier. I have a strong opinion that Melusi's not as good as everybody thinks she is. She essentially is just 3 procs alarms. You can bring procs alarms on somebody like Wamai and do the exact same job. If you want to bring her because you're able to pair her with other gadgets, again, same thing with procs alarms. You can do that with Thorn as well. But everybody else that's in the A tier, I genuinely think belongs there. I think Kapkan and Frost also do belong in the A tier. I think they're a little bit slept on in terms of like, oh, just look for their gadget, right? But even then, you're applying pressure because you're giving the defenders something else to think about, which induces some level of anxiety in their heads further round. Also, the deployable shield that Frost brings and the shotgun that she brings definitely solidifies her position there. And overall, I think this is where I wanted to put everybody in this tier list. Like I said, I made an attacker tier list last Wednesday where I actually placed Grim in the current meta, so you should go check that out. Be sure you subscribe to the channel so you see that. Also like the video, it helps me out a lot as I am a small channel. And with that out of the way, I'll see you next time.